typically in the US, if something was being done by one person at the rate of say $70-80 per hour, that's what the firm would pay that employee there. Here, you were charging the customer only to $10, $12, $15, right? Which of course increased, and hence you had the luxury of putting more people to do the same task and achieve more throughput. Of course, you had the downside of not knowing as much as the person sitting there would do. So you had to bridge that gap. That's where, like, especially the area where I did most of my work, which is like a business analyst. People who would understand the business would be sent to the US. They would sit with the customers. They would interact with the developers
Clients
who are based in India, and that's how the work's done. Right. So that's how the Indian IT services industry really evolved, right? Doing more complex work, and then of course companies like Infosys and TCS have went ahead and built products, right? Like Finacle is a world-class product today.
Absolutely.
And they got that knowledge by virtue of having done these kind of outsourcing works, understanding how these systems work, and then they could build their own product. Right. Of course, later on, IT service, these banks and other companies started building their own captives in India. Right. So now Captive became a competitor to
TCS or Wipro.
To TCS and Wipro, right? Because now the bank is hiring employees in their own payrolls, and they are, of course, being paid probably more than what a services employee would be paid, but the work is done. But then the volume of work that was being outsourced and the cost benefits that the entities in US got was so huge that Indian IT industry has continued to thrive. It has gone through its cycles, right? Like when 2008 happened, right? When the entire banking industry in US and almost collapsed. Like there was a global depression, everything came down. But then the digital wave sort of picked up, right? After 2010, a lot of entities have gone through the digital transformation. So even though the core systems are still legacy, you have to build that digital layer on top of it so that the same issues, right? Is the end user. How do you make it more convenient for the end user? And that's where the digital transformation has really picked up in the last several years. And now you have the AI revolution. So there have been phases where, right, you go through the ups, troughs and highs. But then there has been a way to come back, because at the end, you have the knowledge base here, you have the population, still have the cost benefit, right? It's gone up significantly. So that work still gets outsourced, right? But as opposed to that, what's also interesting is that Indian IT, right? India as an economy itself has grown so much, right? That there is so much work within the country. You don't need to always rely on outsourced work, right? There are so many entities in India, which startups, this entire startup ecosystem, and how things have evolved in India. And that has been the big driver for sort of propelling the IT industry.
The local market itself. But when you get such a huge growth, it's always important to have a regulatory oversight, because to control that growth, the growth can be nudged into a wrong direction or a good direction. And I feel like NASSCOM during that boom of the IT industry in India played a very pivotal role.